Hi there, my name is Irene, and in this video, we're going to talk about how curved objects in Sketchup are a lie. What? That's right, there's no such thing as curved objects in Sketchup. And in order to better understand what the hell do I mean with that, let's just get to it. Alright, so I'm in my Sketchup, and this is the baluster that we created in our previous video about using image files as a reference, and it's going to be the perfect candidate for this explanation because, as you can see, it is a pretty curvy boy. So what do I mean when I say that curves are a lie in SketchUp? Like, I can see curved objects here. What am I talking about? Well, let me show you. So let's say that, for example, I want to change things about this baluster. If I would just want to change the overall height, so I think that originally the size was 52 centimeters or something like that. Let's say that I want it to be 60 centimeters, right? So in previous videos, we have learned that I can simply select my geometry and use the scale tool, quick key S, to change the size. But what you're going to notice here is that doing this will change the entirety of the baluster. We're basically stretching the whole geometry. What if what I actually want to do is keep this top of my baluster, keep this bottom of my baluster, and instead what I want to do is just stretch this part here. So in another video, we already learned that if we want to do that, what we can do is just deform the geometry. And how geometry is deformed will depend on what parts we select. We have anchors we have selected, and then the in-between gets stretched out. So following that principle, all I need to do is go inside my group or component, and then I'm just going to select the top of my baluster, right? And then I'm going to go M to move it. I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to move. Ooh, what the hell is going on here? This is not getting, ooh, it's even worse if I bring it this way. It's not stretching. It's just like extruding itself. So what is going on here? Well, what's going on here is that curves are lies. Basically, if you remember, one of the rules that we learned about SketchUp is that SketchUp is made out of lines and faces, and those faces are flat. That's why if your reference lines go in 3 directions, a face will not be generated. So how do we have curved objects? Well, the answer is that SketchUp is pulling the same trick for curved faces that is pulling for curved lines. Remember, circles and arcs are not actually circles and arcs, and instead they are made out of segments. And basically what's happening here with my curved faces is the same. Curved faces are made out of tinier straight faces. And one really easy way to see this trick is by going to View and turning on Hidden Geometry. So hidden geometry and hidden objects are same but different. Hidden geometry is going to show you lines and faces, raw lines and faces, while hidden objects will show you hidden groups and components. So I'm going to click on hidden lines, and voila, you can now see what number of faces, straight faces, make your curved object. And in fact, if you start zooming in, you can actually start seeing those segments. So what was happening before, now with my hidden lines turned on, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to show you what was the issue before. So if you remember, we were just selecting the top of the baluster. So what was happening was that when I was moving it up, see, you were just stretching that segment of faces. And that's why we were getting that weird shape. So what we need to do is, if we want to effectively deform our geometry, we need to keep this hidden geometry on so we can use it for our deformation. So couple things to keep in mind. Number 1, you're going to want to keep your hidden geometry on. Number 2, you're going to want to turn on X-ray vision. And the reason for this is that we have to be super careful with our selection. See what happened here? I thought that I had selected only up to the point where this little curve comes in, but it turns out that I had actually selected more geometry. And another trick that I like to recommend is that when you're going to make a selection for something like this, what you're going to do, you're going to go to your front view or whatever view is aligned with the geometry that you're going to be selecting, and then you're going to go to your camera and switch to parallel projection. Parallel projection is basically going to eliminate perspective, and it's just going to make it easier to make these kind of precise selection. So see, now I can do the selection of the top of my baluster without having to worry about like, oh, did I selected something else by accident? And we're going to start the same. I'm just going to select this guy and move it to whatever position it is that I want it to be in. So let's say that I just want to move it, I don't know, a feet up, whatever. And now you might be like, hey, we're back in the same problem. You fixed nothing. But what's going to happen here is that after I've done that transformation, I'm going to do my second transformation. I'm going to go back to my front view. I'm going to go back to my parallel projection. And now what I'm going to do is select the rest of these kind of like curve vase shaped geometry. And now this part, I will scale. So I'm going to go S for scale, stretch, and now I'm just going to bring it up. See, so the reason that I first brought the other part of the baluster is just so I would have an inference point to stretch towards. So I'm bringing it right under this guy. Again, you want to make sure that you are as precise as possible. Click and look at that. Now we have actually stretched that curved object. This is a really, really cool trick when working with SketchUp, and it's going to give your curved geometry a lot more versatility. Another thing that I want to point out is that when you have your hidden geometry on, your faces will actually behave differently. So what do I mean with that? Well, let's say that I'm going to turn on my hidden geometry for the time being. And one of the things that you cannot do with curved objects is do things such as push-pull or offset, because again, it's not really a single face, so there's no point of reference. So if I go to push-pull over a curved surface, it's going to tell me you cannot do that because, again, in which direction would you extrude that face? Like, remember, push-pull can only go perpendicular to the direction of the face, and this face is going in all sorts of directions. But check out what happens when I turn on my hidden geometry. Now, I can push-pull the individual faces that make that curved object. And now this is not ideal. We're actually much later in this series, we're going to talk about SketchUp extensions, which is where the party actually gets started. But for the time being, keep in mind that you can actually use this to create individual extrusions within a curved object, which can allow you to create some very interesting detailing. And the cool thing is that when you're done, you can just go here, turn off your hidden geometry, and now nobody will know how you did these guys. And see, if I come back here, once again, it doesn't let me change it. And with that, we have reached the end of this video. I hope you find that helpful. If you have any questions, by all means, feel free to leave them in the comments. Give it a like, maybe subscribe, but otherwise, thank you very much for joining in. Thank you very much for sticking through, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye!